Hey guys, and welcome back to Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. In this part, we're covering Cackle Tower, which is a little bit more intricate than the Spittle Cave, but it's a lot. I would say that again, another leg up that Pirate's Curse has over Risky's Revenge is that it actually does have a difficulty curve, in that the second dungeon's about as hard as the second dungeon should be, and it's not like ridiculous.
Yeah, we start the dungeon heading to the left. That is like innovation out the ass, you know.
Yeah, there's a morph ball over. There's a morph ball over there, don't you know?
In other news, music remix.
Yep. This is Shantae's dungeon music from the first game, remixed into Cackle Tower, which I love. Wonderful remix here.
Is it just me, or or do all of the dungeon themes kind of use the same sort of melody or variations thereof?
I'm listening to this right now. I'm thinking of Tanline Temple. Well, the catacombs. I don't hear it.
Okay, well, maybe not the same melody, but they definitely evoke the same kind of feeling, at the very least. Oh yeah, this is the first game's dungeon music.
Hey, you know, I really do just appreciate it when a game tries to have the musical feeling that its visuals say that it should. Like, I know this sounds like I'm talking about something that should be taken for granted, but the second 3D Prince of Persia game, or technically I suppose it's the third, Warrior Within, had terribly unfitting music. Like, you have to see it to believe it, but after the first game spent, like, the whole game sounding Persian, the second game just goes into butt rock all over the place. It's like, what?
Yeah, they're tired of this shit.
I absolutely love video game music, and I think it's woefully underappreciated by everybody outside of the community.
Do not get me started. Like, in my college days, 2005, I listened to music on blast, and people would tell me, what am I listening to? And I just say, it's music. It's like, it's really no different than what you guys hear on the radio. Of course, there's not many lyrics, but if you're going to go and tell me and lie in my face and say that it's not music, get out.
You know, the last time I had an argument with someone about that, it was really ill-timed because I was listening to Final Fantasy VII's music soundtrack, right? Mm-hmm. And the music that was playing at that moment happened to be the bombing mission theme, which is the most repetitive track in the game.
Still good though.
Well, yeah, but you know, the argument was about how video game music always sounds the same and doesn't do anything. I'm like, what? No.
You know what? I'm gonna say it right now. It all sounds the same is the most bullshit complaint anybody can have about any variety of music, because that's what I hear about every type of music. All rock music sounds the same. All rap music sounds the same. All country music sounds the same. That last one's true, though.
I was about to say the last one is kind of true.
But yeah, like, if you're gonna tell me that Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow and, I don't know, Sonic Adventure 2 sound the same, then you're not gonna have a good time.
Back to what's actually going on screen. What's going on screen right now?
Oh, these things. These things are fine here. You'll learn to hate them when we get to Propeller Town.
I know exactly what part you're talking about.
Okay, basically,
What are they?
They're like little launchy thingamafuckers. Like, if you're in a green one, you can choose which direction you want Shantae to launch in. And if you're in a red one, it'll automatically launch you. It's not quite like the barrels in Donkey Kong Country, but that's the closest comparison.
It's exactly like the barrels in Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, I would say just like the barrels.
You said thingamafucker. It's catching on.
Oh no, I say stuff like that all the time.
It's been 3 years in the making. But no, I think one of the things I like about the launchers is actually Shantae's animations while she's stuck in one. She's actively trying to fight it to get out.
Well, she was the one who jumped into it in the first place, so
I know. You still don't want to get eaten by it. If it's your means of getting from point A to point B, you gotta deal with it. But at the same time, you don't want to get digested.
No, you don't get digested. You just take harder damage.
Okay, they changed the skeleton enemies from Risky's Revenge here. You can kill them now without having to transform into the elephant and ramming the tombstone.
I'm still shocked that you could do that. Like, I thought for years that they were just respawning enemies.
At the same time, I don't blame you for not knowing about it, because once you kill the skeleton, you want nothing else to do with the skeleton, so you just get the hell out of there.
Also, there are maps, the maps basically work like map rooms from any Metroid game, so I'm assuming John skips all of them because he wants to irritate me.
Well, actually, I haven't played Shantae enough to do that yet, but I'm grateful for Shantae. Pirate's Curse map is a lot better compared to Rescue's Revenge.
It's essentially just a Metroid map. The only thing that I wish that it did from Metroid was mark where heart squids and cacklebats are if you couldn't get them yet.
I agree.
Speaking of Metroid maps, am I the only one who's ever complained about Metroid Other M not having a three-dimensional map?
Well, it doesn't
Because
really...
I never see anyone mention that. But
Does it really matter considering how linear it is?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, and if we're gonna make a small nitpick about Prime, I found the three-dimensional map a little bit disorienting at points. So,
That's understandable.
I never had that problem, but it just felt like a pointless downgrade.
If it does
when
what
verticality was the only exploration that Other M had.
Well, there wasn't really an awful lot of instances where, like in Prime and Other M, where there were like a room that went to like 5 other different rooms. So it wasn't really needed, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean, I never checked the map in Other M because you can just go straight to it. But
well, I haven't played Other M in a good I only played through that game once in 2000. It's been more than 5 years now, so
So, I assume you were supposed to use the launcher things to get back to the beginning of the room so that you could continue, but you just said fuck it and went around the long way.
Either that or I fucked up and fell and had to go back. Either way, I cut past any unnecessary backtracking, so it doesn't really matter in the long run.
Yeah. Any sequence involving the launchers tend to follow me up a bit. When I was in Propeller Town again for that sequence, I figured, I played the game before, I'm going to memorize this. Nope, still fumbling around it the same amount of time it took me the first time.
I really should, whenever I play this game again, I really should just, before I even get to Propeller Town, pause the game, put it in sleep mode, and then write down the combination of launchers.
Or I'll just look it up. I don't want to waste too much time.
Oh, that too. Whatever.
I feel no guilt about looking it up after I do it the first time.
So when you use the pike ball, do you just have it set as your item in an item slot?
Yeah, you tap on the touchscreen. You tap. I don't know how they're gonna do this for the Steam version now that I think about it, but you just tap the button on the touchscreen to select it, and then you tap it again to use it. So that's how it works for every item in the game: monster milk, pike ball, healing item.
That's a good point. I never really thought about thinking about how items are going to be used for the Steam version. They're probably just going to have you pause the game and use the item there.
To be honest, though, I prefer that because I don't know if maybe it's just my own personal attention span issues, but I don't like looking down away from the screen and fiddling with another screen and then going back to the screen I'm supposed to be using. It feels awkward, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to miss something going on the main screen or something while I'm doing it.
Well, the only time I ever really activate an item is right before. Well, if I'm need healing, it's after I've beaten the enemies. Nothing's really going on. I just activate the health item, or for the most part, I activate an item before I'm about to fight all these enemies, so that it's not getting in the way. I guess if that makes any sense, or at the beginning of a boss fight before things get too hectic. So, the items in Pirate's Curse are
Risky's Curse.
Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that eventually.
Pirate's Revenge.
The items in this game are helpful, but not necessary. So, I don't find myself using them too much. So, it's not really that much of an issue for me to go out of my way to grab them.
Well, it's my thing is just I don't understand why people seem to have such an unrelenting aversion to pause screens. It's like, you're going to talk about how it takes you out of the game or whatever. We're playing a side-scroller game where we collect squids to extend our health bar. I don't really think taking you out of the game is that big of an issue here.
Well, I suppose it bothers me less for items, like a Shovel Knight, for instance. That has a similar sort of thing where you can use the gamepad or the touchscreen to pick your soap weapon, but you can also just pause the game and do it in that game too. I usually pause the game just out of habit, but when it comes to like a map, I just prefer being able to glance at the map on the bottom screen. That's just a convenience thing. But I don't really mind having to pause the game to look at stuff, because I think it's especially in this kind of game, it doesn't break my engagement to check something on the map if I need to.
No, I would think maybe it can go like it can either go Super Metroid or maybe Fusion or Zero Mission, or hell, you can even like have your items appear on like a cursor on somewhere on the screen, and you can shuffle between them with like the triggers.
Well, here's my thing though. When I say that people have an aversion to pause menus for some reason, I'm talking like there are games that have made stupid design compromises just for the sake of casting the illusion that they've removed pause menus. Fable 3 is the most ridiculous offender, because instead of having a pause menu, whenever you pause the game, you transition into this room that you walk around in and pick things in, and it's a pause menu without being a menu.
Okay, that sounds stupid, because like
it's
quicker.
Freaking stupid because it's freaking stupid because it means load times. But you know what? In Peter Molyneux's case, I'm not even gonna harp on it for that, because he couldn't even get a freaking pause menu to work without load times in Fable 2 either. Every time you pause the game, you have to deal with this load time, and it's just a menu. So why is it loading like that? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, there are some instances where I think trying to make things like this an organic part of the world works, like Splatoon, which isn't out yet in the time of this recording, but probably will be by the time this gets uploaded. Your ink meter is on the back of which is your ammo. Your ink meter is on the back of your character, and I believe Dead Space does something similar.
Yeah, Dead Space. I was about to mention Dead Space.
Yeah, and I don't mind that because it keeps the screen less cluttered, but if I want a pause menu, just give me a pause menu so I can go take a shit without having to worry about anything,
That's a thing, though. It's that, it's the realistic immersion style games that I think that are the only ones that really need to think about this kind of thing, like whether or not pause menus take you out of the game or not.
Bottom line, whether or not you really want me to feel like I'm in that world with the character I'm controlling, I'm not. I'm a guy sitting on my ass playing a game on a couch, and if I gotta take a shit, I gotta take a shit. I want to pause the game.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's just like taking you, like, if we're talking about things that take you out of the game, the pause menu's there to take you out of the game, so you can take a shit, or answer the phone, or talk to somebody who's came into the room to ask you a question.
Or take a shit while talking to someone on the phone.
Well, it's the thing. The thing is, with a game like Shantae or Fable 3, these are really cartoony, gamey games. Trying to push immersion in a game like that is just inherently silly, because you're already fooling around with aspects that basically laugh in the face of the real world.
Well,
so
yeah, well, I can get totally sucked in, like I'd say immersed, for lack of a better word, in cartoony games like these all the time. So like
that's not the same kind of thing as immersing yourself in like the experience of the world, where you're trying where you're more flirting with the concept of virtual reality than just getting caught up in the experience of gaming.
Yeah.
Like a game like Fable or Shantae or Smash or Mario or something like that. Even to a certain extent. Well, I'm not gonna say Metroid. Metroid does the immersion thing pretty well, especially in the Prime games. But it's a different kind of engagement than if you're trying to play a game where the human enemies are supposed to act all like realistically human as they work together to fight you, or you pick up ammo from the ground in real time, which was all supposed to be stuff in The Last of Us. Now that I think about it, I've got Hayden's Last of Us video on the brain right now. But that kind of stuff is, that's immersion. That's challenging the divide between video games and reality. It's not something you should really be doing in a game like this.
Well, anyway, bottom line, have a fucking pause button. Also, yeah, I probably should have used the Monster Milk on this person. I'm just really stingy. You get more than enough Monster Milks, though, so even the standard Monster Milk, like, cuts this boss type time in, like, half or a quarter. So I'm doing it the
Does
old.
Monster Milk affect your items?
Yeah, monster.
No, it affects your hair, just a hair.
The pike balls are
Oh.
just for extra damage, really. But yeah, this is the one thing that I do like is that this spider is the same spider that was trying to eat body tops earlier in the game. So there's a little bit of continuity there. Also, I don't know what happens if you let the eggs hatch because I never let them get that far.
We were talking about Order of Ecclesia earlier. The first thing I thought of when I saw this guy was that damn fucking spider in Order of Ecclesia.
You know, thinking about it, it reminds me a little bit of the spider boss from Metroid Fusion. Only its head doesn't explode and become.
That boss's name is Yakuza.
What?
Yeah.
What?
What does the word Yakuza mean in Japanese?
I wanted to look that up when I think I said the same thing when I was streaming Fusion about 2 months back. And I don't know what Yakuza means in Japanese.
All I know is that it's basically what we call the Mafia. Although, I think they have a different phrase for it in Japan than Yakuza itself. Like, if I'm remembering my trivia right, the Yakuza call themselves chivalrous organizations, and the mainstream media has a completely different phrase for it that basically means violent crime organization or something or other.
And your source is the American Institute for Inaccurate Studies.
Yeah, basically the Yakuza call themselves by a complimentary name, and everyone else calls them assholes.
Just like real life. Oh yeah, that's an easy cacklebat to forget. So that's why I go after it like right now.
That's what you gotta do with this sort of game. You get a new upgrade, start going everywhere with the upgrade.
At this point, I'm convinced that they added the belly dancing idle animation for when she's using the lamp, just so that they could keep some element of the dancing in the game without the dancing mechanic.
I think so. Yeah, it also matches her character too, because like it fits. So. I'm not.
Well, she's willing to belly dance when she's doing something mundane like holding a lamp above her head, but she wouldn't practice between games to remember how to transform into her animal forms.
Hey, she's
getting there. Our next destination is Tanline.
Map. What is this? A map of what I look like after I spent a little too long on the beach, or what?
Yeah, I guess it's the desert level too, so yeah. But before we can go there, we've got cleanup to do. Oh boy!